Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is him, OG Goat, and I hope you got your appetite ready because this episode is going to be delicious. Okay, today's podcast is on cloned foods. Yep, cloned foods. Are you eating them or not? Sold here and locally at your neighborhood supermarket, and you probably didn't even know it. We have a good friend on the line here, my co-host for this evening, Big K from the PA. Big K, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Big K from the PA. Listen, you got your appetite ready? I know you hungry right about now.
Oh yeah, I'm ready, about ready to eat some of this stuff.
Stuff, he says. What kind of stuff you got over there?
I don't know these days. I can't pinpoint it.
I heard that. Well, we got some stuff for you tonight. We got some stuff for you tonight to chew on. So tonight's episode, it's on cloned foods, and the thing is, are we eating them now? Is this in supermarkets? And I have a funny feeling the answer is yes, and nobody's actually been made aware that this product or this meat is actually cloned foods or cloned meats.
Mm.
Now, I did a little research before I started this podcast, and I think they claim one of the first animals to be cloned was Dolly the sheep. Okay, but
Okay.
what made Dolly the sheep so unique is that she was cloned from an adult sheep. Okay, and
Hmm.
so she was the first to be cloned from an adult. So that's what made her situation so unique, and that's why we hear so much about Dolly the sheep. What I want to do is I want to bring to you the fact that I don't think it's fair that we as a people are not notified as to what we're eating. And somehow the government and the FDA has managed to beat around this bush, which allows the food manufacturers to, just process this stuff and not even let us know that, hey, this came from a cloned animal. Now, here's
Hmm.
something interesting. You know what I found? I found that what we what we may consider to be cloned is not actually what's sold in a store. So here's the trickery behind the whole thing. So a cloned animal is not what we see in the store. What we see in the store is an offspring from a cloned animal. So a farmer may have a cloned animal, but the offspring from the cloned animal is what's sold in the store. So at that point, the government has decided that that's now no longer classified as a cloned animal because its birth was natural. How do you feel about
Wow.
that? Is it
Wow. Yeah.
is
It
that
still,
cloned?
st-
Yeah.
that still sounds clone to me. If it's not natural, going through this process of FDA, and I really feel like we getting some bad information, some underhanded, sneaky stuff,
Exactly.
all of the above.
Yes, exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the FDA who approved the vaccines. It was the FDA who approved the Moderna and the Pfizer and the Johnson and Johnson vaccine.
Yes, correct. Yep.
And it was also the FDA who pulled back on the vaccine from Johnson and Johnson.
Hmm.
I have it listed here on Bloomberg's website. FDA revokes authorization of Johnson and Johnson COVID vaccine. And
Wow.
yeah, and now this is what a year or so after you have already approved it.
Yeah. That's the FDA is kind of like some sneaky little agency. I guess they pick and choose what they want to let the public know about,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the stuff that they don't want you to know about is swept under the rug. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really being exposed. So that's another problem that we don't have nobody to confront or either monitor what the FDA is doing.
Well, it's interesting that you would say that because supposedly there is an organization. Now, what's ironic about this is that the organization is called the United States Department of Health and Human Services.
Hmm.
You see, the FDA is an agency within the United States Department of Health and Human Research and Human Services. Now, when the FDA approved the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, it was not approved, however, by the United States Department of Health and Human Services.
Mm.
Now, I mean, what kind of backwards talking and underhanded mess are we doing here? So
Well,
they, yeah.
okay, the government got a bunch of secrets, and I mean, they only going to let so much information out, containing to whatever it is that they're trying to cover up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the strong people within the government that need to come out and say, listen, this is not right. Even though I work for you guys, and I don't know, maybe those people are scared to speak out. Maybe they do something to their family. I mean, we don't know the the reason behind why more people are not speaking out against this type of stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, just it's plain wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's people within they, just trying to make a living, but they at the same time know that a lot of the stuff that's going on is just dead wrong.
It's dead wrong. And it's like money supersedes all of this. I mean, they will, you know, when it comes to money, they will push our lives to the side just to make that buck. And I'm looking at the site now. This is from the FDA.gov website. So this is not, you know, Joe Blow's website. You can't get a .gov domain. You know what I mean? You got to be the government to
Exactly.
have it. So it says here, and this is where I got that first line from: the FDA, an agency within the Department of Health and Human Services, protects the public health by assuring the safety, effectiveness, and security of human and veterinarian drugs, vaccines, and other biological products for human use, excuse me, and medical devices. The agency also is responsible for the safety and security of our nation's food supply, cosmetics, dietary supplements, products that give off electronic radiation, and for regulating tobacco products. Now,
Wow.
right. Now, you're in charge of this stuff. And the funny thing is the word assuring, that's what, you know, alerted me when I read this, assuring, yet you approve the vaccine and then you pull it back off the shelf. You're not even sure. How can you assure?
Exactly.
How can you assure me when you're not sure?
Hmm. That's the truth.
You know what I mean? And so we have these governments which the people want to trust and just cannot trust. So me and you did a test the other day, and
Hmm.
we want to bring our friend into this. We did a test with Alexa, okay? And you remember that test we did?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get Alexa in on this podcast and see what she thinks and see if she has any information.
Okay. You're gonna do the Alexa?
Yeah, stand by.
Okay.
Alexa, wake up.
Thanks for telling me.
Alexa, question. I want to know, are there any supermarkets nearby that serve cloned foods?
I don't know that.
Hmm. Are there any supermarkets that sell cloned meat?
I found a few options for that. D'Agostino Supermarkets, 1.5 miles away on Greenwich Street. D'Agostino Supermarkets, 1.3 miles away on 3rd Avenue. D'Agostino Supermarkets, 2.4 miles away on 1st Avenue.
And let it be known that this screen at the top says top rated cloned meats nearby.
It's outrated. Wow. And we don't even know.
Yeah,
We don't even know what's the rating system, how's it being rated, and most importantly, we don't even have the option of knowing can we buy natural food or can we buy if we want to buy clone food. And I guess they're selling everything at the same price because there's no we don't know what's going on. This is something that the government and FDA is choosing not to share with us. So we don't know. We're in the blind.
yeah.
So we going to the supermarkets thinking we getting good meat and we probably getting garbage that's being made from some scientists.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely correct. Let me add something to that as well. I had to say to myself, what is cloned meat? What does that mean? Okay. So it means that you take a cell, a mammary cell from an animal, which supposedly, from what I read, comes from the breast, which they use to create this clone out of. Now, the FDA will say to you, there is nothing wrong with a cloned animal. Okay, so watch this double talk here. You ready? Now, the
Hmm.
reason why they're saying nothing is wrong with this cloned animal is because you're reproducing, supposedly, the exact same thing that you had originally. Well, notice the words that has been used, the exact same thing.
Hmm.
Yet, when the clone arrives, it has a mind of its own. So it's not the exact same thing. Now,
Mm.
if the meats that we eat currently are not totally good for our bodies, then neither is the clone. So we're only reproducing more of the same nonsense that we have already been eating. It would be different if the cloned meat might have been better for you and cured of all imperfections, and then maybe we can think a little bit more about it. But if we are reproducing the exact same thing, then we are reproducing the same thing that's already been causing diabetes or you know unhealthiness,
Cancers.
yeah,
Yeah.
cancers and all of that, because a lot of this stuff is hereditary.
Hmm.
And so if you have a disease and you're taking from from another animal, a cell from the other animal, then there's likely would only make sense if it's the exact same replica of that animal, then so is that hereditary disease is going to follow.
Hmm.
And if that hereditary disease does not follow, then you don't have a clone. Now you have something else.
Exactly. Which would be, yeah, I hope, more beneficial.
Right, right. But according to them, they are not saying that.
Hmm.
They're saying they're playing it safe, and the wording that they're using, cloned foods are safe to eat, or cloned foods are as safe as the regular food that you've been eating. So in essence, you're trying to say that it's the same thing, but don't get it twisted now. You're not you haven't completely cloned or made an exact replica of the previous animal. You just made one that looks similar but different. We used to have a guy over at the company that at the job, and never forget the guy. His name was Orlando, but he had this old saying.
Hmm.
Not to mention any names, but Orlando had this old saying. He said, "Same thing but different."
Yep.
And I used to get on him. I said, Orlando, there is no such thing as the same thing but different. But I was wrong, because this is exactly what you have. You have the same thing but different. And so, with that being said, I'm like, I'm a little worried here. Now, if they're going to try to give us excuses that cloning animals and cloning people is good for us, because eventually we'll be able to clone humans, and we can fix diseases, and we can better help you with diseases and limbs and arms, and the first thing came to my mind, I pictured a room with all these spare parts of me in it. Like, okay, I need an ear, so you got another replica of me over there. So take his ear and give me that ear. Now you got this replica sitting there with one less ear. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Where's this thing going here? Are we just going to take a cell and just regrow the ear itself? Where's this going? But the bottom line to this whole thing is that I want the people to know that clone foods are being sold in stores, and these businesses are not required to tell you. Now, I was once told that anytime you bring about a problem, it's always good to bring a solution with it. So, in this case, the problem here is that we don't know what we're eating. We don't know if it's a cloned animal or not a cloned animal. Well, we did come to the conclusion that the farmers or the meat processors keep their cloned animals and then use the cloned animals for reproduction, and because that reproduction is a natural reproduction, then the reproduction or the sibling or the baby is no longer considered a clone. Okay, so we understand that, but still, when you go in the supermarket, how do you identify whether this came from a cloned adult or not? And not to keep you from your appetite, I just want to add a little seasoning to it here, your meal. So this is the answer to this. You ready?
I'm ready.
Organic.
You have to go organic to
You
escape
yes,
not having to have the mystery meat that you purchasing and not knowing whether or not whether it's clone or natural. So organic is the only way.
it's the only way. So by saying organic, to the industry has set across a set of rules to be classified as organic that a cloned animal or one that derives from a cloned animal cannot meet, a set of requirements that it just cannot meet. So for that reason, it cannot use the term or the name organic.
And I have yet to see any organic meat that I believe. I will have to double check that when I go the next time I go to the supermarket. But
Well, yeah, I
I have
had some actually.
you have organic meat?
Yeah, I had I think it was organic or maybe it was farm raised. I think it was organic though. So it was a ground beef in this small packaging. And yeah, I'm almost 99% it said organic. And let me tell you something. It was a real big difference. The taste was like unbelievable.
Oh,
It's
okay.
yeah, it's so many things out here. We have to be extremely careful now because everybody's trying to get over.
Oh yeah.
And
It's all about the money.
yeah, it's all about the
It's
money.
all money. It's all about. It's not about. It's all about quantities and not quality.
Exactly.
So they just trying to get as much as they could out, get it paid as much as they can, and that's why we got an increase of heart disease, cancers,
Exactly.
asthmas. Um, even these kids with these kids with the
ADHD or something.
AD, yeah, that and autism and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's probably more than likely the stuff that we're consuming and we
Mm-hmm.
passing on, and the body is just not able to keep up with all this garbage, and things is just getting screwed up on on this path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of worrisome. I don't know if you noticed it, but I could be wrong. But it seems like I see more dialysis centers in a black
Yes,
neighborhood. Is that true? Is
yes,
you do
they
right?
yeah they popping up. Yeah, they popping up like crazy.
Yeah,
You know.
in other neighborhoods I don't see it as much. But in the
Yep.
black neighborhood, I see a lot of dialysis centers. And is it the supermarkets that we're going to? Is it the foods that we're buying? What is
Oh, for sure.
consistent? You know?
It's definitely those choices there. Because I noticed that too, and I even noticed this. It started with a D. I don't remember the name for sure, but it's a D, and you're gonna say dialysis, and I'm like, these people, everywhere I go, I'm seeing this like almost like a franchise, like they all over the place like McDonald's, and I'm like, this
Mm-hmm.
is not good. I was like, I understand they're trying to help everybody, but this person is really monopolizing all this dialysis stuff, and that means there's a major increase in that, and that's what we, the stuff that we eating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, considering that now, so where do we shop? It seems like maybe this is where these, I think some positive stores might be places like what, Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. Are these the stores that specialize in organic food? I
I
think they
believe
are,
that,
right?
yes, yes,
Right?
I believe those are those stores that do the organic stuff like mostly.
Mostly, right? So you're looking at Trader Joe's, or you're looking at um, what was the other one? Whole
Mm,
Foods.
unhopeful. Yes.
Yeah. And hey, it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. But I want you to get back to your food there, and I'd like to stop you. Thank you for stopping by tonight, and we may have a little bit more in this clone food nonsense as time goes on. But for now, you have Big K out the PA. Thank you for stopping by.
Uh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Great, great, and bon appetit. This is OG Goat, and we're signing off.